As a tech YouTuber, I have the pick of the litter to which phone I use as my main device. So why, after testing and using several phones much better than this one, do I always come back to the 12 mini? So this is the iPhone 12 mini and has been my daily phone now for almost 2 years. In between testing out phones, this is the iPhone 14. I'm always switching. I actually use the phone I don't just like put a SIM card in and pretend like I use it. I put my actual phone number onto this phone. But in between those, this is my choice of phone that I always go back to, my 12 mini. And there's a lot of reasons for it. The biggest one is probably the size and cost to performance ratio. So the size of this phone is fantastic. I have tiny hands and it fits in my hands. I can one-hand this phone very easily. It's very small, so it fits in my pocket. And so when I'm working out or when I'm going on a run, that was actually the initial reason I bought this phone. And it has the wide angle lens in the back, so filming myself while I was running was really easy, and just filming myself in general, turning the camera on myself. I'm a YouTuber, so obviously I love seeing myself on camera, and having the wide angle lens is nice if you're going to turn the camera onto yourself. Another thing with the size too, I believe that if you have a larger phone, this is the 14 here, I've always felt more of a pull to use this phone versus a smaller phone like the 12 mini, and I still believe that. Mine even has a cracked screen. My phone is a complete disaster. This phone just, it's not in good shape. It's not doing well, but I still use it. It's had a cracked screen now for like 6 months or something. It's had a cracked screen for a while, but it still works totally fine, so I don't really have a complaint about it. It features an A14 Bionic chip with 4 gigabytes of RAM, up to 256 gigabytes of storage. Mine is actually the base model with 64 gigabytes. It's a 5.4-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display with a resolution of 2340 by 1080 for a pixel density of 476 pixels per inch, with a max brightness of 625 nits and a peak brightness of 12,000 nits for HDR content. Both the back cameras are dual 12 megapixel cameras. The wide camera is effectively a 26 millimeter, while the ultra wide camera is a 13 millimeter. In terms of performance, it performs well still. Is it the best performing phone ever? No. Does it lag behind the better phones I tested out? Yeah. But when I tested out the 16 Pro and I was kind of expecting to keep it because it was going to be so incredible, I guess I just realized that, yeah, like it's a nice phone, but compared to the 12 mini, it's not that much nicer. I don't feel a pull towards, oh, I have to have that. I don't spend a lot of time on my phone anyways. If I'm going to watch anything, I watch on a TV. And generally speaking, in my free time, I'm either hanging out with my kids, working out, or making a YouTube video. So I don't really find myself having a lot of time to burn on my phone. Surprise, surprise, tech YouTuber isn't the biggest fan of people spending their whole lives on tech. And that sort of brings me into my next point is I am not famous. Don't misunderstand, but I do have almost 20,000 subscribers and I make tech videos, and I think it's kind of cool having a tech YouTuber that makes videos about tech, that could buy and use the latest and greatest tech, choosing to use something a little bit older. I think it promotes the values that I'm trying to preach, and I'm going to stand by my values, not just say them and then do something different. Whereas a lot of tech YouTubers I know, and I'm not, whatever, they can do whatever they want, they always use the latest and greatest, and their excuse is, well, I have to test it out, or I have to do this, or I have to do that. I think it sort of supports and reinforces a negative idea of always having to upgrade your phone every year, every 2 years, whatever it may be. And I've talked ad nauseum about how expensive these phones can actually get. You can invest the difference and you can make a ton of money, whatever it may be. I've talked about all that stuff, but at the end of the day, it's just my values align with this phone. It's a 4-year-old phone that works totally fine. That cost me like $150 or $200 on Facebook Marketplace a couple of years ago, and it's a good phone. Like, I really enjoy it. If you're looking to buy a phone to reduce your screen time, I think this is a great option. It still has great cameras. The selfie camera is totally fine. The day-to-day usability is totally fine. I use it every day when I'm not using one of these other phones. So it's totally acceptable. The only negative that I have is the battery life is just awful. It's horrendous. Even as somebody who doesn't use their phone very much, I am constantly in the red low battery. I'm not the best at charging my phone, but I'm constantly running out of battery in this thing. And so if you're on a long trip or something like that, either bring a book to read or just assume that you're not going to spend a lot of time on your phone. I know it's a bug and not a feature, not having good battery life, but I do still think it's a decent thing if you're trying to spend time with others, not being pulled to your phone because you just can't use it that much because it'll die and it'll run out of battery life. So at the end of the day, Techno Eclipse supports the iPhone 12 mini. Ultimately, the next phone I'll get is the 13 mini. That's probably the phone I would suggest buying because it's got better battery life and everything about it just a little bit better, a little bit longer support, and the price difference isn't really that extreme. So I would suggest getting the 13 mini, and I'll have that link down below. And I also have my podcast, the Dear Young Men podcast, link down below. It's nothing about tech, has nothing to do with tech. It's just sort of self-development. So if you like some of my ideas in this video, you might like the ideas in that podcast. If not, that's totally fine. Don't subscribe if you're not going to listen. All right, I'll see you guys in the next one. This has been Scott with Techno Eclipse. Peace out.